Okay, so this is probably my last video, and I just wanted to show you something really cool. One of the things that I have not been very good at over the years is talking about the successes of other traders. I just have to be honest, I've always been very focused on my own trading. It is very important to me. It helps me perfect the tools that many of you have invested in. And in addition, obviously, building my own account over the years, which has led me to my next venture. In all the hustle and bustle, I just really have done a poor job at talking about the successes of other traders. And so I wanted to take this last moment and talk to you about somebody who, just like a lot of you watching this, maybe about 2 weeks ago when I started putting out the key turns videos, he took what I taught literally, which really honestly was my intent. And those of you that watched that, and I know a lot of you did, I had several emails, even that first week, $5,000 in one day. I had a $13,000 in a day. And obviously these are extreme. I had several people that were several $100s. And this is just going to be relative to your accounts. And everyone starts somewhere different. Some people have a lot of money to trade. Others, maybe you have a couple grand, and that's totally fine. But I wanted to show you this particular individual because for many years has struggled, tried, like many of you, everything that's out there, and something really clicked with the key turns videos I put out. So that today, January 31st, was the completion of his first week. So there's 3 things I wanted to point out here. So first of all, the very first sentence, "Hi Sean, many thanks for the video tonight. It was most helpful explaining the separate strategy for key turns." So if you look above, the email that I had sent out was market opens in 2 hours. I was literally up at 5 o'clock. Market for me opens at 7:30 in the morning. And I mentioned in the subject line, apply this technique today and reap the profits. So what a lot of people don't realize, especially those who don't know me very well, is these aren't marketing pitches per se. I literally mean everything I say. And if you watch the videos and if you put the prices on your chart, you should have literally seen the market do exactly what I laid out, nearly to a T. And Daryl took it literally, which I had hoped every one of you would have. Now I know a handful of you did because I got emails. The second thing I want to show you here, today's Friday, January 31st, and this sentence right here, I have finished trading for the day and week 1. Today's profit, 8,500. Didn't trade much in the London session, and for the week totaled 31,500. I mean, how cool is that? A very good week indeed, and many thanks for all your guidance and support. It has been much appreciated. And then the last thing I want to show you in this email, and you're more than welcome to pause it and read the whole thing, but right here, I have set goals for the rest of this year with a target of 125,000 per week by year end. And one of the reasons why I wanted to show you this was, number one, the traders that took this literally and actually applied what I laid out did extremely well. And I want to show you this too because this is coming from someone who for a long time, just couldn't figure things out. And in this particular instance, this really clicked. It really made sense. And so he put it to practice. Opened up charts, did exactly as I laid out, and did phenomenal. And 125 grand a week, I know some of you hearing that think that's impossible. You know what? I believe he will absolutely achieve that. In fact, I'm going to take it a step further and say, I actually believe it's going to happen a lot sooner than he thinks. Because once you get good at something, you can scale it. And then it just becomes, it's the same process. You're doing the exact same trades, you're just doing it with more money. So I wanted to just quickly just take a few minutes and just not spend a lot of time on any one of these, but just show you how effective this is. I know some of you watching this, you have one or more of these tools. If you grab the Pro Suite, it looks like we've got about just over 10 hours left. Everything's going to wrap up at Chicago time, 8 a.m. That enables all time zones to have midnight of the 31st. That's why I did it that way. And So the Pro Suite, that will enable you to get all of these tools, and I'm just going to go over a few of them. They just really perform well. There's been I've spent a lot of time, and I've actually invested a tremendous amount of money into these tools so that they work the way that they do. And I've spent many years developing them, and there are many of you, in fact, hundreds actually, who do really well with these tools. So the first one I'm going to show you is the key turns, because this is really what Daryl used this whole week. And I could pull up, he traded a lot of the NQ. What I like to do in my video, we can look at the NQ, but what I like to do in my videos is really be consistent with what I'm showing you, so that it's not a different chart. I'm not picking and choosing what looked the best today. So anytime I've showed you key turns, I've showed you the ES. It's probably my favorite market to trade. I trade other markets, but it's really a lot of fun to trade. So we can see that in Globex, we had price come down and test this key turns level, and we had a nice run up for about 11 points off the line. We come back down to it. There's breakdowns, and if some of the terms that I'm using you're not quite sure about, just watch the previous videos on key turns, and I walk you through the whole thing. Beautiful breakdowns all the way to the line, another test for a few points, and then we have this nice break, just beautiful break, and we can just short that. The span between the 86 and the 67 is 21 points. So we have about a 21 point run down here, breakdown, 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 all the way to the line. We even break it and test it. So you probably actually would have been short and then reversed it once we broke above. And we can get a lot of this. And then here's some more breakdowns all the way to the line, one more test and a break, and then we're short. And then this one here, this happened at 30 minutes after the open. At 8 o'clock, we went to the tick and just dropped from there. 67 all the way down to our low of 12.5 for the day, 55 points. We had a nice 55-point run, tons and tons and tons of opportunity. Just a beautiful day. So everything with key turns, it really doesn't matter which market we look at, it followed suit. Now, I forgot to mention, by the way, that email, did you happen to notice the timestamp on this? This email was sent at 3:26 a.m. and he had finished by that point. So if we were to look at charts at 3:26 my time, here we are almost about to approach the key turns again. He was done at this point. So there was so much movement, so much opportunity with key turns during the early hours of the morning that he ended at that point and didn't trade any of this. I mean, just imagine what could have been done with all of this. Now, he does happen to live in New Zealand, so the time difference is, different, obviously, than the US. But it doesn't matter where in the world you live or where you trade. If you're traveling, the opportunity exists around the clock, and it doesn't matter really, for the most part, what time of day it is. So if we move along and look at something like backfill. Backfill, we need to spend more time on this, and there's plenty of videos, and there's obviously lots of training. But if you were to guess, so the vertical lines, the blue, represent buying pressure, and then the red represents selling pressure. The actual backfill prices, which is what the analytics down here show, which, by the way, have a 99% fill rate, not too bad. But the vertical lines, those show pressure, buying and selling pressure. And like I said, I'm not going to break this down, but what would you imagine will happen on this upcoming Sunday into Monday, February 3rd in the market? Do you think we're going to have a bounce? My bet is we will. How much? I don't know, but there's a pretty good chance that we'll have a bounce. But does it really matter if we tank or if we rise? It doesn't matter, because there's plenty of opportunity in either direction. But this buildup of buying pressure really creates a lot of opportunity. And if we were to break this down, like for example, even this one right here, this bounce right here, this is actually 5 points. It's actually over 5 points. So just to put it in, this one right here is about 7 points. So just to put that in perspective, when you see this decline here and we have all this buying pressure, when you break it down, it's actually really amazing what you can carve out of these spikes and these bounces that happen. So anyways, this is another indicator that's a lot of fun to use. And then, of course, one of the more popular ones I would say is the box. Now, this starts from yesterday's Globex, and we have this this big run up here, massive trade, massive trade, and then we're getting a lot of that, and then we're getting short and short again. Arrows mean sell when they're red, buy when they're blue. Any one of these profit levels we can take profit at, and it just winner after winner. Two right here that don't work out, but then you probably make most, if not all, that back right here. Another winner, another huge winner, another huge winner, small winner down here when we on this bounce up, another big winner. I mean, you have to realize this trade right here is 10 points, and it's still going. Another winner, another huge winner. I mean, just, you would have, I don't even know where you'd be at. If you took every single one of these trades, you're up dozens and dozens of points just on this. There's so many ways to extract money out of these markets. And we're not even done. We've got 3 hours left of the market. All of these trades, couple losers in here. This one, and actually this one was not a loser, but this long was. So you have, and then here's another loser here, but you're up so much. Even after this one, you triple that loss right there. And then we end the day here. But just a really simple indicator to use. Not a lot of thought has to go into it. And then, of course, we have the trade balance. And this one, I absolutely love this one because it really meshes well with almost anything that you do. And so no matter what style of trading you prefer, this trade balance indicator just says so much about market activity. And of course, in my version, I built in analytics. And there's another video that explains analytics, but it's really, really helpful. Once you understand how this works and you understand the probability side of this, it just enhances everything else that you're doing. So we have this test, initial fake out, and then we come back to tag it, and then we just drop from it. So I won't spend too much time on that one, but really fun indicator to use. And then the last one I'll talk about is one price. And one price, this one works with futures and Forex, some foreign markets, but mainly futures and Forex. So on this one I have just over a year's worth of trading days, 259 levels specifically, with a 98% fill rate. And this just breaks down how many of those get filled on day one, the 259, and then it breaks it down on how long it takes. So obviously the majority get filled in the first couple of days, but it's a very useful tool to have. It's kind of like one of those tools you want to make sure is in your bag. You know, if you're a construction worker and you're building a house or working on a house, it'd be pretty terrible not to have a screw gun or a hammer with you. You know, something that's kind of a staple. You're not going to use it the entire day long, but it's something that you absolutely need to have. And this is kind of one of those types of indicators that it's really advantageous to have on hand, because it's not something that will happen every day, but it happens frequently enough that it's something that is very useful to use on a weekly basis. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to also take this time to thank every one of you for supporting me all these years. It's been 15 years since I started my first company, and some amazing things have happened during that time. And I've been able to witness a lot of you go from not having a clue about the markets to making life-changing money. I've even had a couple of traders over the years go on to work for different funds, which is freaking awesome. And then you have, people that come along like Daryl, and he just rips it, just, does phenomenal. And there are so many more people that I just didn't get the chance to talk about that really have done an amazing job at taking the time to understand how these things work, taking the time to understand how to implement them in the live market, and then going for it. So we got about 10 hours left. Those of you that have interest in grabbing these tools while they're available, the links are still active. I'm going to wrap things up, pull everything down at 8 a.m. Chicago time, February 1st. Again, thank you to all of you who have been with me for so long. I really appreciate it. And as I say in my email signature that I've said all these years, I wish every single one of you only the best.